Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Jim on the Air. I'm Jim Sirianni, your host with the most. I'm contractually obligated to use that joke and run that joke into the ground every single time until I come up with something better. Hey, if you have a better intro for me, you want to shoot me an email and tell me, okay, Jim, you need to stop with the host with the most BS. You need to come up with something new. You can email me at jimontheair@gmail.com. That's jimontheair@gmail.com. And I will take your email and read it maybe and promptly throw it in the trash. What am I doing? What am I doing with this? No, honestly, if you want to give me an idea for an intro, you can certainly do so. jimontheair@gmail.com. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I kid. Anyway, I'm very excited about this week's show. I'm getting just to let you know what I've been up to because it's been a while since I've done a podcast. It's been a few weeks, and I am getting ready to do a play festival, a festival of monologues and short one-act plays that's coming up at Center Stage Theater. And the festival is geared towards the LGBTQ community and the POC, people of color community as well, as an effort to become more diverse at the theater, at Center Stage Theater. And we're all very excited to be a part of this festival. It's called Show Ponies, and I'm directing two of the plays. One is called Me, You, and the other one is called Tren, Tren, like train, but Tren. And very short pieces. I'm directing two of those. And a lot of the shows are LGBTQ or POC, and or either the actors are, or the characters are, or perhaps the directors are, or the authors are. In one way or another, each play is connected to being diverse and having diversity, and we're very excited to venture into this. As we are all moving forward as a community and as a world, if you will, trying to feature artists that are from other backgrounds other than dead old white men, like like Shakespeare and who there's nothing wrong with Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I know somebody just clutched the pearls when I said Shakespeare there. How dare you call him a dead old white man? Well, he is. He's been dead for a long time. And it's nice to be able to do shows that are new, that are fresh, that are from a different perspective, other than, we've been talking about this festival for a while, and I keep using as an example, Mornings at 7, which is about old white people. And there's nothing wrong with old or people or white or anything like that, but it's just nice to be able to do some shows that show another edge of the diamond or another side of the coin, or however you want to call it, and show another part of life that you may not necessarily experience on a regular basis. And so we're doing the Show Ponies Festival, and as I mentioned, they're all not all of them, but some of them are LGBTQ, or they're about people of color, or in some way they are somehow associated with those communities. And we're very excited to put it on. It's being curated, and the artistic director is Noah Lashley, and he's from Ojai, California. And he's my guest on today's show, and I'm going to talk to him in just a little bit. We'll get to know more about him, about his art style, his writing style. He likes to write, and he's done some acting as well. And we'll get to know a little bit about him. And I'm anxious to ask him about Show Ponies and where he came up with the title. I have a suspicion. I know I am a little suspicious that I know where the title came from, but regardless, we'll talk to him about Show Ponies and how he came about to put it together. And he's collaborating with Terry Ball, who is the executive director of Center Stage Theater, and this is actually a presentation of Center Stage Theater in Santa Barbara. Normally, Center Stage rents it's a facility where you can rent the venue, the stage, and you and your organization can put on your show, whether it's a dance piece or theater, what have you. But this in this particular case, Center Stage is producing their own production, and it's also a way to raise money for the theater because, as many people know, we've just come through a huge pandemic, and not sure if it's totally over with or not. But so this is a way for the theater to maybe raise some funds, having just come through a whole year of hardly any income at all, because everything was pretty much shut down all of last year. So that's why Show Ponies was created. That's part of the reason why it was created, also as a way to again, to have pieces that are more diverse, that are new, and to show artists, both actors, directors, writers, that are doing stories that are, as I mentioned before, either the LGBTQ community or people of color, and or a combination of all the above, the transgendered community as well. And so we're all very excited to put this together for all of you, and we hope you come out and see it. And it will be July 17th, one night only at Center Stage Theater, July 17th, and I believe it's 7:30 p.m. But you can go to the Center Stage website to learn more, centerstagetheater.org. Again, that's centerstagetheater.org. And you can purchase tickets through the website. There's also a blog tab on the Center Stage website, and you can learn more information about Center Stage, more in-depth info on the blog as well. I'm hiccuping for some reason. But again, it's centerstagetheater.org, and click on the blog tab, and you can learn more about all these pieces that we're doing and more about Center Stage Theater in depth as well. And again, it's centerstagetheater.org. Anyway, before I ramble more, as I've been rambling on here for almost 7 minutes, I'm going to stop rambling. We're going to take a short, tiny little break, just a tiny, itty bitty little break, just a little tiny break. Just a tiny little break so I can reset. And then I'll be back on with Noah Lashley, and he's my guest on today's show on Jim on the Air. So don't you go no place. Don't you go anywhere. Tiny little break, just so very tiny. Tiny little break, and then we will be right back. You're listening to, or you are watching, depending on which platform you're using, you're watching or listening to Jim on the Air, and we will be back right after this. Don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back to Jim on the Air. So glad that you are joining us today on the podcast. And I'm very excited to talk with my only guest on this week's show. His name is Noah Lashley, and he is a writer from Ojai, California. His work has been featured in several literary magazines, including the Dewdrop and Beyond Words magazine, just to name a few. His work has also been featured in Speaking of Stories at Center Stage Theater and on the Townies Podcast as well. And his radio play, produced through Eastside Queer Stories and Q Youth Foundation, is available on Spotify. And welcome to the show, Noah Lashley. It's good to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So right off the bat, just jumping in here with everything, what has been your path as an artist? How did it all begin?
I started pretty young. My father and brother are both actors. So, and my father was an artistic director for a period of time at like a local community theater in Ojai. And so I just sort of have always been around theater, and like my best friend is an actor, like my other best friend is a writer, like my aunt is my acting and writing teacher. Like we're just like it's a lot of artists around me, sort of all of the time. I think it's sort of part of being in Southern California is you meet a lot of performing artists. And so like when I was a kid, I thought I wanted to be an actor just because my dad and brother were both actors. And then as I grew up, when I got into high school and college, I realized that I only really liked acting if it was the pieces that I was writing. And so, and then just from there took off into writing. And so now I'm very much like steeped and knee deep into like literary arts. I love all of it, and try to facilitate as much of it as possible. And yeah, so it just started mostly with like writing scenes in like theater classes and doing acting classes, and just going about it that way. I've honestly been doing like personal monologues since I was like 12. So it's just been that over and over and over again.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's very cool. So is it safe to, so it's safe to say then that you probably prefer writing over acting, or do you like them both for different reasons?
I do like performing. I don't think I'm a very good actor. Like I think every time I've acted, I always think I'm a phony. So I get too in my head about it, but I do like to perform. Like I like to read my stuff, and I like to and I love to hear an audience. I mean, there's nothing better than instant feedback, and And for like performing in front of an audience is always just like, you know exactly how well your piece is doing, especially in comedy. Like if someone doesn't laugh at a joke, you're like, this joke's not funny. Okay, well, let's move on. And then move on. So I do like to perform, but acting is definitely not my forte now.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about your writing. I mentioned that it's been seen in several literary magazines, but tell us about some of the places where your writing has been seen or where we can find it today.
Yeah, so most recently, you said it was in the Dewdrop and Beyond Words magazines, and most of my like published work is like essays or like personal essays, or I have one short story published, and but a lot of it's like yeah, a lot of it's very personal. It's very anxiety based. I'm a very anxious human being, so a lot of my writing is it's just very anxious. And the play that's going to be featured in this festival is actually also featured on the Spotify. Is the play that's featured on Spotify. So, which again has a lot of anxiety in it. I feel like anxiety is like the root emotion that I have tackling most things. Is that like anytime I like try to uncover something about myself or something else, it's mostly coming from a place of being afraid of it, and so or anxious about it, I guess, and so yeah, it's a lot of comedy based because it's like very fast. My approach to anxiety is always just to like kind of laugh through it, and so it's a lot of that. It's a lot of like relationship woes, a lot of like romance faux pas and whatnot, and
like unrequited love kind of a thing.
Yeah, a lot of unrequited love, unfortunately, and then some like unrequited love from the other direction. Me being like, oh, no, thank you so much, and then them being like, no, this is going to be good for you. I'm like, no. It's like, no, thank you. Yeah, so it's a lot of romance stuff, and now I'm trying to like burgeon into like other like more hefty subjects, just because I'm a slut for research, and so I love to just like dive nose deep into something, and so I'm trying to like develop a wider breadth of knowledge beyond just like romance and anxiety.
Okay, very, very cool. So I'm talking with Noah Lashley, and he actually is the artistic director for the Play Festival, which is coming up at Center Stage Theater, and it's called Show Ponies, and we're going to get more into that in just a second here. By the way, if you'd like to learn more about Show Ponies, you can, if you want to get a ticket to go see it, it's just one day only on July 17th. And you can go to centerstagetheater.org for ticket information. That's centerstagetheater.org. And you can also click on the blog tab on the Center Stage website, and that'll give you all the in-depth information about what's going on with Center Stage as well. So Noah, tell us, well, first of all, tell us about Show Ponies. What was the inspiration for the title?
Mostly, so Terry had, who's the producer of the event, Terry had contacted me a while ago and had asked for me to like come up and do a show, or like try to curate and facilitate a show. And originally it was gonna just be me, and I had too much of an imposter syndrome, so I was like, I can't do that. But then she contacted me a little bit later and asked if I wanted to just like bring friends up, and she said that she wanted to bring some new blood up into Santa Barbara. And so I've just been like, it's just essentially like a group of me and my friends, and this is also the first show that we're doing sort of out of the pandemic, and I was trying to think of like a fun kind of goofy title for it to have us all like I was just imagining us all sort of just being like trotted out and then just like showed off as the young blood that's coming into Santa Barbara. And I was talking with the poster designer, because she's a good friend of mine from Austin, and I was at that point I hadn't thought of the title yet, but I told her I want something poppy and something sexy and something goofy. and then I'll get back to you about what the show title is. And then eventually I just like landed on Show Ponies, and then a centaur came out of that, and then I was like, this is perfect. This is all I've ever wanted.
I love the title. I'm glad that it's called Show Ponies. I love that. It's very cool.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of dressage lately, and so I've just been like, just because I'm very interested in like fringe sports, and so I've been watching a lot of dressage, and that's sort of how I was like I kind of just want all of us to like just trot into the thing and then just perform and then trot away is all I want to do.
That's cool. I like the image that creates. I like that very much. And you mentioned the pandemic. How was the shutdown experience for you over the last year and a half, especially as an artist?
It was, you know, like I didn't have, a lot of people had, you know, a really horrible, horrendous year. And I was very fortunate in that, like, I was safe through the whole thing, and I like, you know, I got through it pretty unscathed, and so I feel very fortunate in that. And it was a lot of just like, it wasn't a very good like artistic year for sure. It was like I did virtually nothing artistically during that year. I was like trying to, because I was like sort of so blocked and sort of and just like overstimulated by the like collective trauma that was happening around me. I was sort of like, why does my voice matter at all? So I was just like, I need to take a break for a second. And so then I became a little bit of a hobbyist. And so I just developed other types of expression. I started to bookbind for a little bit. I was watercoloring for a while. Got a whole host of plants in my apartment just to like make myself feel alive. And, you know, and started doing like other forms of like, I started exercising a lot more just to like get something out in a different way. And so while I came out, I mean, I did sort of come out of it with a couple of projects under my belt still. Like I still wrote a bunch, but it wasn't necessarily like the most productive I've ever been. And so, but I feel like a nice like a nice sort of validation in that like writing is not necessarily the only type of art that I have to practice at all times, and is not the only thing that makes me feel artistic at all times either. So I developed, I read a lot. I read other people's writing a lot. I had started editing a lot. So I like was still around my art form. I just wasn't necessarily practicing it the way I had done before.
Right.
If that makes sense. If that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that totally does it. It's absolutely perfect. So tell us about the pieces you're going to be doing for Show Ponies. What are they about?
So I have the short play that's going to be in it that's called What to Do When You're Caught in the Middle of a Wildfire, which is a mouthful of a title, but is about evacuating from a fire, which I feel like most Santa Barbara natives will have experienced by now.
I've experienced that a lot.
Yeah. So I hope that this like, I do hope that it goes over well. I haven't actually done it in front of an audience that have like all collectively experienced a fire evacuation. So we'll see how it goes. But I had to evacuate from the Thomas fire back in 2017. And then I was doing the short play workshop a year later. And like, all I really wanted to do was do this, was to write about fire and the sort of anxiety that comes with evacuating from a fire. And so the play is mostly just like I describe it as two dum-dums trying to run away from a fire. And like, what do you bring when you are evacuating? And so it's like, it's that initial moment of like having to grab everything and having to like be on top of grabbing everything.
Wow, that's amazing. So is it a dramatic piece, or is it comedic, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, it's pretty much comedy. I mean, there's definitely moments of drama in it for sure. There's a good amount of crying. Shout out to Lily Brown, who will be doing a lot of crying this weekend. But yeah, but it's mostly comedy. It's like or at least I would like it to read as a little bit more comedic, just because it's just such a peculiar situation to have to be in, to have to just in 10 minutes choose what you want to take from your house, and then
with no time to think about it. No time.
Yeah, you have no time to think about it, and then you just have to like I remember when the fire happened, I shoved all of my clothes into a laundry basket because I had not done laundry anyway. And so I was like, oh, I'll just like put all of the clothes that I still want to take with me in my laundry basket. And so if I need to, I can just like pick it up and then go. And then I have clothes for that. But then it was like, yeah, like the whole piece was kind of inspired because my friend was out of town and having to like look after her family house, and because her parents were out of town as well, and my father tried to get us to was trying to tell us to have her turn off the gas line, and she did not know where the gas line in her house was. And so the main through line of this piece is them trying to figure out where the gas line is while also evacuating, I guess, is like the actual plot of the play.
So are there two of you in the piece, or how many actors?
Yeah, there's two characters.
Okay, so you, and then the other actor is
so Lily Brown is playing Elise in the play, and she also she's one of my best friends from childhood, so she actually also evacuated from the Thomas fire. And then Bastian Vegas is playing the other character, so I'm not acting in it, but those two are the actors that are playing in the part.
Oh, okay. And then what's the other piece that you're also doing, or is it still kind of a work in progress?
The other one is still definitely a work in progress. I'm like still trying to figure it out. I got I've been having a lot of how do I say this, career confrontations lately, and and also sort of like romantic confrontations where I'm feeling kind of stuck. And so I'm trying to explore that feeling a little bit of just feeling a little stuck in where I am, and trying to figure out what the best way to pivot and move forward is. And I think don't hold me to this, but I think I'm gonna do it because also a couple years ago I got stuck in between two rocks while I was in Joshua Tree, and
you literally got stuck between two.
I literally got stuck between two rocks, and so I was doing this thing called I think it's called the Chasm of Doom, if I'm not mistaken. And you scramble up this mountain, and then you have to drop down this dark chute, you literally just fall into it, and then you go through what's called the birth canal, and it's literally there's just little hole in between three boulders, and you just have to army crawl your way through it. And at the time I was 80 pounds heavier, and all my friends went through it, and they were like, oh, you'll fit, no worries, you'll just get right through it. And I was like, I don't know, guys. And they're like, no, it's fine, you'll get through it. And I was like, okay. And so then I got stuck right at my sternum and right at the middle of my back. And so I got stuck there for I don't know, not that long. I got stuck for maybe 15, 20 minutes maybe. And but long enough for me to have sweat pooling in my glasses, and for me to panic that we were gonna have to call a park ranger to rub lube all over my body or something to get me out of here.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So I think
you're what? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think that it might be what the piece is, but I don't know. Don't hold me to that too much. But
so you're still working. That's still a work in progress, or you may switch it up for something else, maybe.
Yeah, I might just I'm working on it because every time Terry asks me to do a show for her, I always try to churn out a new piece, just because I love center stage theater so much, and so I try to create something new every time they ask me to do something, and so. Rather than just recycle things that I've already used. But I've been just sort of swamped with work and other projects this last month and a half, and so I haven't really had a lot of designated time to really do this, but or write for this, I guess. And so I may have to recycle a piece, but we'll see. I'm gonna try. Yeah. I'm gonna try my hardest.
Right on. Very cool. So I'm talking with Noah Lashley, and we're talking about the Show Ponies Play Festival, which is coming up at Center Stage Theater, July 17th, and it's just at 7:30 p.m. just the one evening. And there's several pieces that will be included. I myself am directing two of the pieces, and Noah's doing two of the pieces. Yay, it's gonna be fun. And if you'd like to get tickets, you can go to centerstagetheater.org. That's centerstagetheater.org. You can purchase tickets right there online, and come see it. It's going to be a fabulous show. So Noah, tell me, what do you hope the audience will take away from your pieces, or at least from the first one? What are you hoping they take away from it?
From my pieces specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, with what to do when you're caught in the middle of a wildfire, like the thing that I always, it's a really complicated piece because it's like I think, how do I answer this? Fire is one of those things that I don't feel like a lot of people quite understand how like laborious and long of a process it is, and how arduous of a natural disaster it is. It is like one of those natural disasters that takes, like the Thomas Fire, for example, was I think it was like
2 or 3 weeks.
Days.
Yeah,
it was like over a month. Yeah, it was it came through Ojai in like 2 weeks. But it was a really really long process. And so I remember I had like friends calling me being like, oh, isn't the like how did you fare against the fire? And I was like, I'm still in it. Like there's smoke everywhere. Like some of my friends' houses have burned down, and so we're like trying to figure out how to like facilitate where they're gonna be, and like and whatnot. And so like the thing I always like want with that is, because I feel like a lot of my comrades who live in other places don't quite understand how it feels to go through a fire. Like I want to at least like illuminate one tiny facet of it, which is that like emergency situation, and like what it feels like to have to like not see something coming from a bit away, not have like any kind of warning for it. It just is like happening, and it might just be at your doorstep in 5 minutes, you know? And to also like highlight the necessity of like community like resilience and also like community effort, because this whole piece is like this. Elise, the main character, is evacuating her house, and her best friend is there with her trying to evacuate her house until he has to leave to evacuate his own house. And so like, but the whole focus is on like, let's get you out, let's get you out, let's get you out. And also how like dumb it is. It's so stupid to be like, I want to take my couch, but I can't take my couch.
Right. Yeah. I want to.
So it's like, yeah.
I want to take my artwork on the wall, but it won't fit in the car. That kind of thing.
Yeah. There's like this moment that like, I'm totally gonna spoil a joke, but there's this one moment that I've always thought is really funny. It's like my favorite joke in the whole thing, where the main character Elise is packing a dress that she just bought for a person's wedding. And she's like, I just bought it, so I'm like, obviously I have to take it because I just bought it. And it's like that kind of like thing where it's like, what is the priority in your mind is like, I just bought this thing, I can't let it burn up in flames. That's ridiculous.
Right. Plus I had to wear it for a wedding.
It's a wedding.
It's not just any dress, it's for a wedding. I know. I have to say too, it's interesting to talk to people about what they take or don't take during a wildfire. And I've experienced many, going all the way back to like the original, the OG Painted Cave fire that happened in the early 90s, and what people have to take. And I remember a friend of mine was involved with a show choir, and so she's like grabbing music and costumes and stuff, but then some of her own personal things didn't make it. And then going through, the last 20, 30 years of what people have to, what they end up saving and what they end up not saving is kind of an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah, there's like there was one of my friend's parents. She the whole house was fine with the exception of her mom's office, and her mom is a musician, and so she lost like all of her work that she had for decade. And
yeah.
it was just like, it was one of those things where it was like, this is so tragic. It's like you like, and like, unfortunately, like she wasn't even there to be able to evacuate. Like she wasn't even there to choose what she wanted to take, you know,
Right.
because she was out of town. And so it's just like, it's one of those things where like, I don't know, because I also used to live in Arkansas where there's tornadoes all of the time. And like it was always really interesting to me that you could like they would have a tornado warning for like the day. Like they could understand that the pressure systems were like operating in a certain way that'd be like, oh, like be on guard or a tornado might come today.
Right. So
And
you
then
had the whole day to prepare.
yeah, or at least like some, like maybe that's being a little unfair, but like there's some sort of notice of like, and some sort of idea of being like, okay, something might happen, it might not, and then even if it like is beginning to happen, like most of the time people can see it coming. Whereas like fires, it's like it's a hot day, it's windy, whoa, is it gonna happen, is it not?
Right.
And then it's like it might be like a teensy tiny little brush fire, and then it might be like a whole statewide like
wildfire that's
fire.
100,000 acres or more.
Exactly.
No, I was totally thinking about that.
Getty Museum, you know.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that too with I was discussing the Thomas Fire when it happened with like one of my cousins who used to live in Florida, and same idea like you're talking about with the tornado. With hurricanes, you have a whole week practically and you see it coming. It's a tropical storm.
I mean,
now it's
like,
kind of
it literally starts on the other side of the ocean and then comes over. Like
so you have all kinds of days to prepare.
Exactly. And it's funny because it's like also fires in particular are like usually uniquely man like caused, like
caused.
And so like and like most of the time it's like power grids and like power lines that cause fires, or like
which I think that was the case with the Thomas Fire. Weren't they repairing?
Yeah, it was an electrical fire. And that sparked, and then it just happened to be a windy day that day, and so it was just like it just like blew up, you know. And like, but fires like rarely start just like on their own. And so it's one of those things where it's like also like there's so much like human error involved in fires, into a really devastating way, and then also I think in a really comedic way, like on a much smaller level, just like interpersonal human error when just like trying to like do the right thing in a fire. Like I remember I was trying to volunteer at the Red Cross during the Thomas Fire, and they literally turned me away because they were like, I don't want to deal with you. they're like just go away.
Wow.
I was like I am trying to help you, let me help you, and they're like, no, I can't, I'm too stressed out. they're like I can't even think,
I can't even deal.
Like I can't deal, just go away. And I was like, okay.
All right, well, I was gonna help, but fine.
And I kept making the joke that like at that point I was unemployed, and I was like, I still can't even get a job during an emergency at a volunteer clinic or like a volunteer thing.
Volunteering for something,
it was like a bachelor's degree gives me nothing.
Nothing. You get nothing. Oh gosh. Well, that's it's been great talking with you, Noah. But I was wondering if you wouldn't mind humoring me a little bit and answering some random questions that have nothing to do with writing or acting or anything. Is that cool? Okay. And I like to ask everybody random questions just because it's nice to get to know people in a little bit different way. So the first question I have is, because I love food. What is your favorite comfort food?
I really love to make. I am German, so I really love to make Spätzle, which is like a German dumpling. I really love to make that because it's like a kind of a noodle thing that you press through what looks like a cheese grater, and then you just like grate it into boiling water, and then it makes little dumplings. And I love Spätzle. And then in the winters, I will sometimes make pozole for myself, which is like a Mexican food.
I love pozole. Oh, that's so good. That is a great comfort food, especially like in the wintertime when it's cold or whatever. That's always good to do.
And I like to do pozole verde because I love jalapenos so much and tomatillos. So it's like tomatillos and jalapenos and pasilla chilies and stuff like that. So,
so good. So good. Yummy. Yeah, no, that's, oh my gosh, now I have to have some for lunch maybe. What is your most treasured possession?
Oh man, that is a really good question. I'm really bad at throwing things away because my mother loves to throw things away, and so she has like never cherished any item of mine. And so I am literally looking around me right now to see what I've had forever. I have, oh, this is a terrible example. This is a really bad example, but I have a brick over there that I stole. My college was like completely made of brick. It was like their aesthetic. And there was one time a tractor went over a staircase and broke the bricks free of this brick staircase. And so I've just stolen this brick from this brick staircase. And I, for whatever reason, carry it with me all of the time. And I don't know if that's really my most treasured item. It is just a, I guess, treasured item. I really don't know. That's a bad example. But
it has significance because it was from your college, right? So
yes, yeah.
A memento.
So. Oh yeah, I'll go with that. I feel that feels like a stupid answer, but yeah, I'll guess.
That's a great answer. I think that's great. It's a memento. Every time you look at it, it reminds you. Where did you go to school, by the way?
I went to school at Hendrix College in Arkansas.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it reminds you of that, I'm sure. And that's,
I guess though, it's one of those things where, again, like I could just, it's literally just a brick. I could just give it away.
Right. Or the next time there's an evacuation and somebody helps you and then they throw it out. Well, this is just a brick. We'll throw this away. And you're like, no, that's from college.
Yeah. Or, in an emergency, I can throw it out my window just to break my window. It's there you go. It's practical.
Yeah.
It's practical. Thank you.
And then my next question then is, do you have, or who is your favorite fictional character? And it could be from literary, it could be TV, movies, a play.
Oh, also good question. One of my favorite TV shows of all time is Pushing Daisies. It's like an old ABC show that got canceled after 2 seasons, but the main character is this pie maker who can touch dead people and bring them back to life.
Oh yeah, I remember that show. Yeah, it's just on for a little while.
Yeah, and I love him so much. I think I just really have a crush on him. He is just like he's just this like kind of quiet pie maker who just like touches dead fruit to make them like perfectly ripe. Right. And then like bake them into pies. And so like he's like very fantastical and very romantic, but also very shy and wants to like be by himself a lot. So yeah. I think I'll go with that. Yeah, I like Ned from
Ned. That's right. Yeah, I remember that. I like that show too because it was so different and unique. And Kristen Chenoweth was in it too.
Mm-hmm. Kristen Chenoweth was in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really cool show. And well, that's cool. That's a good character. That's a good one to pick. I think that's very cool. Well, Noah, we're just about out of time, but before we go, is there any 411 information that you want to put out there, websites or social media or anything like that you would like folks to gravitate towards?
Sure. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Noah Lasher. It's not really my last name, but I'm there. And you can look at my stuff at the Dewdrop and at Beyond Words and Cagibi Literary Journal. You can check me out on Townies Podcast, and also come to the show.
yeah. And when is the Townies podcast? When do you usually put that up? Is it like once a week or every day? Or I
think it actually ended now, but there's I'm on like 4 episodes or something like that. So you can catch me reading a bunch of different pieces there.
Cool. And your Instagram is Noah Lasher, Lasher? Yes. Cool. Noah Lasher on Instagram. Well, Noah, it's fabulous to meet you and get to know you here. And hopefully I'm sure I'll see you at the festival at some point.
Yeah, you'll see me on that, right?
Yeah, that'll be cool to meet in person. It's so weird doing everything on Zoom all the time.
I know. Yeah, it's very bizarre, but also I have to say, very cute. It's very fun. I like to do this.
Yeah, I do too. And I have to say too, because it's like, well, I'm just, 30 seconds from from, the commute is only like, two
Yeah,
steps.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's always good too. But and again, folks, for those of you listening or watching, depending on which platform you're using, the Show Ponies Festival goes up at Center Stage Theater July 17th. 7:30 p.m. For tickets, you can go to centerstagetheater.org. Again, that's centerstagetheater.org to purchase tickets. And if you want to know what Noah's up to, his Instagram is Noah Lasher on Instagram. NOAHLASHER. And the Townies Podcast can be found on Spotify. Is it on other platforms besides Spotify?
Yeah, it's on SoundCloud and YouTube, I think, as well. So you should, if you're looking for the Spotify, go through Eastside Queer Stories. Look for Eastside Queer Stories, and you should find me there.
Find it there on Eastside Queer Stories.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. And if you want to know what I'm up to, if you're curious about my stuff, my show, it's called Jim on the Air, and you can find it also on various platforms on Spotify, Anchor.fm, Apple Podcast, just to name a few. And again, the show's called Jim on the Air. And Noah, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with everything, and break a leg and all that good stuff for the festival and all future endeavors.
Thanks so much. Well, I'll see you in a week.
Yeah, and I'll see you next week as well. And everybody, thank you so much for listening or watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.